Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and this edition for Tuesday, the 10th of February, comes to you from London. And it actually comes to my hotel room at Heathrow, and it's actually Monday, the 9th evening. But I'm recording this. I went to the closing bell at the London Stock Exchange today for the launch of International Energy Week in London. And tomorrow morning, first thing, I'm flying to Dusseldorf for a conference in Germany for 2 days, an energy conference, eWorld. It just means that I will be getting on a plane very early in the morning, and so I won't really get time to record Charts Today tomorrow. So we're doing it looking at what's happened today, Monday, for you to pick up on Tuesday. So dollar is just falling away again there, down nearly 1% on the index. That means the euro is looking strong. We're seeing that recovery there on the euro, looking quite strong. Where it really is showing through is on the Swiss franc. That's actually a 1.26% change. So significantly, the Swiss franc is much stronger. Looking at others, the Indian rupee continues to be relatively weak on trend against the dollar. And if we look at the Aussie dollar, that is looking really very strong indeed. You can see here breaking to new highs. So that's really showing strength. If we look at the weekly, we're seeing a 3-year high for the Aussie dollar. So that's really significant there. And we have, of course, got this upside target. So Aussie dollar strength showing through there. Bitcoin, of course, is the one that we've been looking at. Here you see the downside targets. And that's really quite key. And don't forget, of course, you can be doing these equally in your TradingView system. So you can go and do them there. Here, in fact, is the Swiss franc. Got a target there, 157. This is Swiss franc against the dollar, so it's actually inverted. It's normally you would look at it the other way around, but that is actually showing the strength of Swiss franc. Then we've got Nvidia, and then we've got this one is MicroStrategy, been in the news a lot. This Bitcoin Treasury, 6 downside targets in the last 6 months. How could you possibly? We had a nice upside target met, 6 downside targets in the last 6 months. You can't be anything but bearish when you see that number of targets. So coming back to Updater, we've got these targets in Bitcoin. We touched 60,000, but the key thing here is that we are very bearish below the cloud. Taking a look at what's going on in the indices, we've got the Nasdaq up 1%. That's really been led by the large cap. We'll have a look in a minute. And the S&P, the futures up 0.6%, not making new highs still yet, but looking stronger there. And if we look at most European markets, we've got the DAX up 1.25% today. FTSE future wasn't quite as strong. I noticed that when I was at the exchange watching the closing today. But in Europe, we've been pretty strong. And of course, Japan had a very strong session off the back of that election win. And so we're seeing Asian stocks actually rising. The Hang Seng still looking pretty strong there. And the Aussie market, despite that currency move, are not pushing to new highs and really waiting to see which way we go there. If we look at the 60-minute chart, we have got a downside. So a bit of a downer on the Aussie market. So we do need to just keep a key of that. The other one is the Dow Jones. We talked about that hitting that 50,000 mark. It's held on to it. That was that big candle yesterday. Still got these big upside targets. And one of the charts I have on my system is the market breadth charts, and you can do lots of different market breadth studies. This one is a number of stocks above the 60. So the number of stocks above the 200-day moving average, number of stocks above the 90-day moving average. So we're seeing here 76% of stocks are above their in the Dow 30 are above their 200-day moving average, and 63 above their 90-day moving average. You'd expect the shorter day moving average to be fewer above it, of course. And if you want to look at market breadth, I did do for the London Stock Exchange a session on understanding market breadth indicators, which you can find on the Updater website. That was a session I did last month, along with lots of other sessions, free resources there for you to look at. So the breadth is still pretty good there, but of course it's a very narrow index, and I discussed that in that session on market breadth. Just go to updata.co.uk. So looking at basically markets looking pretty strong for stocks. We're seeing here Amazon and Apple's just giving up a little bit. Just still struggling to make new highs, even though we are seeing some strength. Most stocks not making new highs. Alphabet has managed to make new highs and generate upside targets. Microsoft finally recovering, putting on 3% today, yesterday when you watch this, and so that's quite key. Nvidia also just coming back to the top of that range, 195, 196. They're sitting at 191 at the moment. So we've got a range building here between 170 and 195. And will we break higher or will we break lower? It is a little bit concerning that we haven't had a high since October. So that's really quite key. The energy mix, we put out the morning call for clients. We're seeing quite a mixed picture. Looking at US nat gas, that's been a really key one, and we've just breaking that previous level. We're back to $3.11. We had gas prices as high as $7 last month, so it's really fallen back, and the same with European gas, but that's gone out in the morning call to clients. Tesla also just looking like we've got these downside targets there. So interestingly in tech, we'll have a look at some US stocks, but just quickly looking at gold up 2.3%. You have to really go to the 60-minute chart to sort of see the recovery here, finding some resistance there at about 5,090. We have got upside targets though, so that's going to be quite key, and we have moved back above the cloud, and silver's up 7%, meeting those targets that were given off the low, not quite as clearly through the cloud, and of course not testing the previous high there, so it's not quite as clear as gold. So just quickly looking at some of the other products we're seeing here, you can see we've got coffee up just slightly, but really has been in a big fall there. So that's quite key again. Taking a look at some other products there, cocoa, that's been a real disaster. Downside targets falling away again. We've got another downside target, multiple downside targets there, and sugar has bounced off that $14 mark. This is one I'm watching closely for a client that I've been working with. So yeah, it's quite an interesting one. Looking at the Dow, we've got quite a lot of red on the screen, so that's quite interesting. Heading into the close, we've got some stocks still looking pretty good. Look at Cisco, just amazing. Walmart pulling back 2%, but they have activated a big upside target. Boeing has also been one that's in recovery mode. This is the 60-minute chart, of course. Going to the daily chart, a little bit clearer there. And so you can see you've got a pretty mixed picture. And so Dow is not performing quite so well. Nvidia pulling it up. Tech is performing better today, but on the whole, we are seeing a rotation out of tech. Taking a quick look at the NASDAQ, we've got some really big falls here as well, just sort by percentage. A few big rises, there's no question there, but AMD up 4%. They have had a pretty torrid time, downside targets given and met. So that's been quite interesting on the medium-term chart. Failing to make new highs. This is the big concern for a lot of stocks, just failing to make new highs. If we look at the percentage table, we've got some really big falls. Workday, big move lower, those targets. Booking.com, that's just looking pretty grim. Just really are seeing some quite big falls there. Microchip Technology, not so bad, but you've got to keep an eye on these targets. You can see here a lot of tech stocks falling away, making multi-year lows, so really quite worrying. Anyway, that's it for today. Tomorrow's chart today will come to you from Germany, and I'll be probably recording it mid-morning. So until tomorrow, happy charting. Bye for now.